certain aggression to the Viet, and they flee down here. The Viet moving down to the Red River Delta, and they find out that in this area there were flat area, valleys, fertile rivers, so that they choose to settle down here and building the culture or the civilization of Vietnamese like today. Around 2,000 years ago, they start the immigration and they choose to settle down here. We got, let's say, 10th century, that we say we were under the Chinese occupation. Or, in other words, the Vietnamese king, we have Vietnamese king, but the Vietnamese king, they agreed to pay tribute, paying tribute to China king. So on the surface, yeah, the Vietnamese can choose their king, but it's not be like approved by the China king. So this is the town that we call the Vietnam Kingdom, but independent country, but we agreed to pay tribute to the Chinese king. From the 11th century, more independent. This is the time that we created our own written language. Before we adopted the Chinese Mandarin as our national official language writing. After that, they invent the nom, N-O-M. The nom is basing on the Chinese Mandarin, but having certain specific thing, a special invented by the Vietnamese to record the Vietnamese. And the modern history with the French. When the French came, they came to Vietnam from 1858, but they first, prior to that, from the 17th century, there were French, Portuguese, Spanish, Catholic missionary. Anyone here Catholic? Buddhist. There were French and Portuguese Catholic missionary coming to Vietnam, and they trying to missionary propaganda and Catholic missionary to the people here. At the beginning it was like that, but the Vietnamese king, they follow the action of the Chinese king at that time. They shut the border, refuse contact with European, and even kill the missionary. They prosecute the missionary. One action that leading to the totally arrival of the French. So in 1858, the French, they sent just around 3,000 men under the reason that they came to escort and to protect the missionary because they were killing in this country. And slowly, they occupied the 6th province in the southern part of Vietnam. During the French occupation, Vietnam was dividing into 3 different parts. We got South Vietnam is called the Cocochina or Vietnamese word Nam King. The center of Vietnam is with Vietnamese King An Nam, and the north is Tôn Kim. Now remember, at that time Tôn Kim was still under the Chinese Qing, under the protection of the Chinese Qing. It's not until 1885, after the Opium War, that the French were able to occupy Tonkin. At that time, the Chinese Qing and the Vietnamese King, they trying to protect the northern part of Vietnam against the French invasion, but they not succeeded. The French fully occupied the 3 parts of Vietnam from 1888, and right after that, they they set up, they choose Hanoi, the capital city of Vietnam presently, with many different names. Yeah, I will mention later. As the capital city of Indochina, I want to emphasize on the name Indochina. This is an administration unit that covering 3 countries: Vietnam, Laos, Cambodia. At that time, they all belonged to the French Union. So the Vietnamese kings are still the owners or the boss of An Nam, but on the surface only. Whole Vietnam is already under the control of the French. Nam Kỳ or Cocochina, center Vietnam, An Nam, and the north Tôn Kim were all mostly belong to the French Union. Right after they occupy Vietnam, the French they carry out a plan that we call the colonialism exploitation and colonialism construction. We are lucky today that we are taking the freeway. But imagine like before, they have the railway, but it took them 11 years to build and complete the freeway from Hanoi to Lào Cai, starting from 1901 until 1911. They choose to build the railway system from Haiphong, now a very big international seaport close to Halong Bay. We're coming later from Haiphong to Hanoi, Hanoi to Lào Cai, and Lào Cai to Kunming, China. To begin, that is all the preparation of the traffic system to begin the colonialism exploitation. Because China at that time was like great potential of like mining, metal mine, coal mine, and many other mines. But in Europe, in the old continental, they already like inadequate. They do not having enough like material for economic development and industrial development at that time. So they have to come to Asian country for that. The railway system, they start building. What's that?
Mic sao anh ơi?
Alo.
Mic bên nào không nói được à? Mic ra không nói được.
Chỉnh của lại anh cái mic này. Alo. Lại được rồi. Alo. It's okay. Alo.
Lại mất rồi.
Không được. Alo. Anh thử cái này xem. Không, anh nghĩ nào vẫn được mà, chờ tí. Chờ này. Alo. Không, cái đấy cầm vào dây đấy. Alo, đây rồi. Ok rồi. Ladies and gentlemen, the town that we are coming today, Lào Cai, let's say they start building the railway system from both ends, from Hanoi and from Lào Cai. So they build up Lào Cai as a French fuel station with a very big railway station up there. Also, after 2 years arriving in Lào Cai, there were groups of French scientists and ethnologists coming together with some army officers. They trying to exploring the surrounding area. And in 1903, they discovered Sapa. At the beginning, the name was Chapa, C-H-A-P-A, Chapa. Today we are using Sapa, S-A-P-A. Chapa, by the time the French came, this was an isolated area with like few and original minority group. They got, in Lào Cai, they estimated that there were 27 different ethnic groups living there. And the people you're going to see up there were very colorful. The ethnic Chao, the black Hmong, the flower Hmong, they're living up there. And they got a totally like different kind of cultures and traditions. This was a big surprise to the French. And also, elevation of the area was amazing. We are now in Hanoi, almost like by the sea level. When we are in Lào Cai, it's already 600 meters above the sea. But when we reach to Sapa tomorrow morning, it's going to totally change. 1,600 meters. Elevation was high, and up there they found it. There were high mountains, but there were like valleys with many rivers and streams. The climates up there were exactly like Europe. Temperate zone climate. Very cooling. In one day you can see 4 seasons. Morning is like spring. Midday summer. Afternoon is like autumn. And at night it could be cold. Funny like that. And the weather up there, the Vietnamese, they joke that it's like the character of a little young girl, changing every moment. All of a sudden you see the cloud, quick rain, 10-15 minutes, and it's sunny again. But generally, summer, Even in summer up there, it could just be around like 20, 22 degrees. So it's very cool up there. With the great potential and priority of the nature like that, up there they are home to like different kind of flowers, lychee, and many kind of medical plants, including opium. There was a time by the French came up there there was a large plantation of opium. And slowly, the people there, they got support from the authority. They are changing. After the French left, Vietnamese government giving a ban. They stopped opium. But prior to that, you remember, up there is a very exotic market of opium, close to the Golden Triangle. Ladies and gentlemen, the French founded Sapa, or they discovered Sapa in 1903, and the intention was building Sapa into like a town, like other town like Đà Lạt in Vietnam, Đà Lạt, Tam Đảo, any place that having like cool climate, so that the French people who are working and serving in Indochina can come for vacation. So one of the amazing thing is you will still find a lot of French building up in Sapa, reminding you of a time that more than a century ago. That's where the place that like many French came for vacation. One of a very precious and nice monument was the Catholic Church. The Catholic Church they built in between 1927 to 1935. But that's showing you a great attempt of the French to bring Catholicism to the local minority. The history of Sapa began like that. 1903 they founded Sapa and they built up into a resort like with many villas for the French people who were working in China. But after that, the history of Vietnam was changing every few decades, every few years. When the World War II started, there was the rising of communism forces in the area, leading by like Ho Chi Minh and the Vietnamese Communist Party. And in the northern part of Vietnam, the communists they are getting the support. They were having the support from the local minority people, leading to one thing. That area will sometimes become the battlefield. Sapa is not far from Lai Châu and Dien Bien Phu. One place that like witnessed the fiercest fighting between Vietnam and the French. And after that, when the French left in 1954, North Vietnam were isolated with the outside world because we got stuck in the Vietnam War. So not many tourists are coming to the area. So that is once nicknamed the Forgotten Town, Sapa. Until at least 1995, the time that you may remember Vietnam became one member of the ASEAN, and the time that the US they lifted the trading and commercial embargo against our country. And only from 1995 that we got foreign tourists coming to Vietnam. And then people coming to Sapa. Another point is, even for us, for me and Lala, we worked a long time with the China support, especially our country. Every Vietnamese, you see everything in the house, our home. We're eating the rice from China. There are many like houseware, like the bowl, the chopstick, the spoon is made in China. They supported a lot during the Vietnam War, but after the Vietnam War in 1975, when we come to the China border tomorrow morning, I possibly think about that. I will tell you more detail about that. But I mentioned about one more war. After the French War, we got the Vietnam War against the American. That is the fight for the country unification. But in Lao Cai and Sapa, they have to witness another war, the China border conflict. 1979, after a lot of this talk about, like between Vietnam communists and China, at that time leading by the leader was Deng Xiaoping. China government at that time accused Vietnamese communists that they betray the Chinese government. We got support a lot during the American war, but after American left, what Vietnam did, they really upset Chinese communists. They invite the Russian in. They didn't invite China in for investment. And another point is that Cambodia communists at that time is a close ally with Beijing. Meanwhile, Vietnam and Cambodia got conflict. Khmer Rouge and Vietnamese communists, they're all communists. But the point is, at that time there are two countries considered to be leading country in the communist forces movement. One is you choose to ally with Russia, Soviet Union, or you choose to ally with Republic of China. At that time, Vietnam chose to ally with Soviet Union, and Cambodia aligned with Beijing, China. So they were fighting. China support Khmer Rouge, and Vietnam did a thing that China could not accept it. They sending troops to attack Cambodia. They invaded Cambodia, in another word. I'm saying from a very neutral point of view, but I still have to use the word invading. The reason at the beginning was very good. They have to free when they came to Phnom Penh, they have to free millions of Cambodians from the labor camp where they got genocide system of Khmer Rouge. But the point is, they stay there for too long. When you send troops to Cambodia and say you liberate the people, of course you have to maintain the army there. If not, if you come back, things gonna be even worse, because the return of Khmer Rouge should be terrible for the people. So Vietnam army had to stay there. They stay there from January 1978 until 1992. 14 years in Cambodia. But right after the invasion of Vietnam army to Cambodia, just about 4 months, they came in December, I remember, December 1978, February 1979, China declared war all along the border. And one of the most terrible fighting places, we are coming to like Lao Cai City. The majority of Lao Cai City were destroyed. What we are seeing nowadays is totally new. That is the city that witnessed the fight between, like, brothers. They are brothers. They used to be brother in arms. They were good brothers together. The good old days never come back. After that, 1979, the war started, and Lao Cai City as well as Sapa. Lao Cai were totally destroyed, but Sapa, luckily, they were about 40 km up on the mountain, far away from Lao Cai, so the destruction was less. You are still lucky to see there are many villas, French villas up there. But in Lao Cai, almost nothing remained like the original.